Welcome to Mortgage Masterminds. I'm Richard Greaser, VP of Marketing at Sales Boomerang, and my guest is Michelle Berman, CEO and founder of Berman Media PD. Welcome, Michelle. Great to have you on.
Thanks, Richard. I'm so excited to be here. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this episode. Quick preamble about Sales Boomerang. In case you don't know who we are at Sales Boomerang, you've been living under a rock since 2017. Sales Boomerang notifies lenders the moment one of their borrowers needs a loan. One and two of the biggest lending companies in the United States use Sales Boomerang to make sure they reach out to their borrowers the moment they need a loan. But if you don't know when your borrower needs a loan, and you don't know before they do, that's what we do. So you should just reach out. Go to salesboomerang.com, reach out to us, and let's have a chat. Michelle, let's get into this.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people know much about you. I didn't know much about you until I heard you on a podcast, and I'm so glad I did reach out to you and we connected. We've gotten to know each other, I think, pretty well. Mm-hmm. I just want to start off. How much could you squat when you were at the CrossFit Games level competition, or what was your badass specialty? I mean, I learned that about you before you had a child recently, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, amazing question. Thank you for asking that. It's going to make me feel like a badass mom again, or a badass before the mom land. But I actually back squatted 145 kilos, which is just over 350 pounds, right before I ended up finding out I was pregnant. And postpartum, my goal, my husband and I are very much so in line here, is that I have to be able to squat 300 again before I can get pregnant with baby number 2. So it's kind of like a running joke between my husband and I.
Well, I'll just say that you are very competitive and you push yourself really hard. And I think a lot of people that are very successful in the world share that trait, and that's totally awesome. So someone who is a single mom and running a super successful business, coaching loan officers and branch managers and realtors to really kill it on Instagram. You've developed this method that is proven with results, and that's what we're going to get into today. That's why you're on here, because a lot of folks out there are interested and need to learn how to do that better, and maybe perhaps they would want to learn more from talking to you. So let's jump into this.
Sure.
Why don't we just start with a softball? What do you think people are doing well with social media, and what do you think they're doing badly?
Yeah, I think, let me start with the bad. I'll start with the bad and then we'll go to the good. So what I think people are doing poorly is I think people are trying to be personal, but they're not being consistent in who they are representing, right? Meaning, let me make sure that everybody understands what I mean by that. So we can be personal, quote unquote, right? We can share pictures of us behind the scenes of, or at our office with a fun picture behind us. We can share a great branded photo of us that a photographer took. And that's our face, right? That is us. But is that really us? And I think that's the point that I'm trying to make here, is that is not who we are on a day-to-day basis. And you and I have chatted more times than I can count, Richard, about things that are just you and I, right? Like behind the scenes of who we are as humans. And I think that's the piece that's missing, is we're trying to be so perfect all the time, and we're trying to showcase the professional branded side of us all the time, because we hear this conversation about you have to have a brand and you have to be good at branding. But I think what people need to really focus on is, who are you as a person? Who am I hiring? And if I can really understand who that person is on a personal level, I'm more likely to want to hire them, and the conversations that can flow from them are a lot more powerful. And, I'll use myself as an example. Running a successful company has not been easy as a new mom, and I struggled with postpartum quite badly for a long time, especially moving to a new place where I had no family and no friends, and I had a 2-week-old, and my husband went from, not working at all to working full time, 12 to 14 hours a day sometimes. And it was really, really hard. But what I did was I shared that story as willing, or as far as I was willing to go with it, on social media, and the amount of relationships and connections and other moms that I was able to develop friendships with, and even people like you, Richard, you have 2 kids, so you totally get it. But being able to experience that with other people has actually, I think, made me a better business owner, and made other people have more respect for me as a business owner. So there's that vulnerability piece that I think is what's missing in our content. And there's a lot of other things I would recommend people do better, but I think that's one piece is personal versus showing who you are as a person, they are different.
Yeah, I think people have a lot of just kind of gut fear for kind of opening up personally on social media, and whether that's valid or not, I just think that especially when I talk to a lot of branch managers and loan officers that are super successful and they don't have a social media presence, but I think they're all aware that they either need to because there's a younger generation that is very comfortable on social media, and there's a lot of opportunity out there that they're just kind of leaving on the table by not being not having more of a presence. Well, so let's jump into something. Let's just everybody listening, what should immediately catch the attention of anybody who's either a lender, whether you're a loan officer, a branch manager, or an executive? What should immediately catch your attention about the why you should be doing this, right? Why should you be investing in your social media presence? And it would be awesome if you could throw out some specific results. I know you've shared some with me. Those are the ones that catch people's attention the most, right? And when I have a loan officer on the show, they'll usually start off and say, here's the volume I do, here's, and it gives people context, right? But so if there's anything you can give in terms of like, hey, I started working with this client here, and after working with them for this many months, this is the kind of stuff that they see. Anything like that?
Yeah. So let me start with part one of your conversation or your question for this conversation here. And what I want everyone to hear me say is it's called the 3 C's. And I don't know if you and I, Richard, have had the opportunity to discuss this in depth, but the purpose and the why behind Instagram, not just Instagram for that matter, but really just social media in general. And what I teach transcends industry or transcends platform and industry for that matter, but my focus being on the loan officer and real estate side. But the 3 C's, what does that mean? It stands for creating connection that leads to conversation that ultimately can turn into conversion, which is what everybody wants. But what people are not willing to do is be and create content that establishes connection between me and the other person. And the conversation has to stem out of creating connection. So conversation can't happen if there's no connectability, right? There's no relatability for that matter between me and the person that's posting. And conversation also can't happen if I'm not seeing you active on the platform. So if you're posting and ghosting is kind of the phrase that everybody talks about, don't expect social media to work for you, because social media is not a dumping ground for, hey, I had a branding photo shoot, let me go throw that. Hey, here's all the loans I've closed. Let me just shout out at the top of the universe that I closed, $8 million in volume this year. Like, to be honest with you, your general consumer that's using Instagram to come across you, they don't care about that. Right? They're not caring about, oh, you did 20 million in loans this year. What they care about is, of the 20 million, what kind of people did you work with that are like them? So we have to get better at creating those relatability pieces. And then as far as, results, there's so many. And I think that this is what makes my job fun. And every day my goal has always been, who can I help today? And can I change one person's life in that moment, in that day? And if I can do that, I can go to bed at night and feel good about what I'm doing. And yesterday, I had a conversation with a private client of mine who started off as a core student many years ago when the Instagram Power Method launched in late 2019. And today yesterday, he had just gotten asked to be on the podcast that he found me on almost 2 years ago. So he heard me on a podcast, then reached out to me, bought the course, then went through the program, ended up coming on as a featured client of mine in my private Facebook group. The podcast host that I was on is in that Facebook group, heard Phil, and then invited Phil to come on Mortgage Marketing Radio with Jeff Simfer is the name of the gentleman. So that experience shows you the power of what we do. And to date, one of the things that Phil mentioned to me yesterday when we were chatting is, on average, he would have, 3 to 5 loans in the pipe monthly that he could really count on that were going to close. Like, he knew that was going to happen. As of right now, sitting on his whiteboard, he has 26 in the pipe to close in March, which is just unbelievable, right? You went from a guy who didn't understand social media, knew he needed it, to he's now leveraging it to get himself on podcasts, to be in front of real estate agents. He's been on social media panels to teach them. Like, it's just crazy what has happened for him in his career in just about a year. It's just mind blowing.
And where was he at the start? Like, you said 26 in the pipe, which is awesome. Well, where was that in the start? Like one or two, three in the pipe, that kind of deal?
Yeah, so he started around 3 to 5. When he first met me, he said he could consistently count on 3 to 5 loans closing per month. And fast forward to February of 2022, or I guess it's March now, but sitting at 26 in the pipe to close in March. And it's just amazing. And it has nothing to do with how many followers he has. It has everything to do with what we were talking about, which is he's creating connection on his platform. He's hilarious, right? A lot of his videos that he talks about VA loans, because he loves working with veterans, he does singing with a guitar. Like, he's just a person and he's showcasing his personality. And he's been able to create a lot of connection with other people who are like him and who are interested in his personality. And those conversations at that point are super easy. They're not about loans per se. They're about, hey, I like what you're doing. Can we chat about it? And then it turns into conversion for him. And it's a compound effect. Everybody's probably read that book that's listening to this, but that's what it is, right? You start, and it's not going to be this quick fix. I do it today, and tomorrow I went from 5 loans to 26. But it's, what does that look like over the course of a year? What does that look like over the course of 2 years? And I'm living proof of the compound effect in real life too.
Wow, that's so cool. That's a tremendous improvement, by the way, that you just shared right there. I mean, 3 to 4 loans in the pipe per month, all the way up to about 26 right now. And, a lot of connections with the realtor community and with borrowers. Amazing. I don't see why anybody wouldn't want that. So shout out to Jeff Zimfer. His podcast is amazing. Mortgage Marketing Radio. I think it's one of the best in the business. And, it shows is a testament to you that he's bringing you on, right? Because he sees the value. He gets into the weeds with a lot of folks who are doing very, very targeted social media marketing on Instagram and on Facebook. And it works, right? It works. And you just have to put real time into it. You got to be a scientist. And you got to just work on it every single month. So let's go into your power method. That's what you touched on, and you said, one of my students, and then they transitioned. So why don't you talk a little bit about the power method and maybe a little bit about your business?
Yeah, so the Instagram power method, the story behind the program, I think is one of the things that I love sharing the most, aside from what the program itself actually does. But a lot of people ask me, how did it even become a thing? How did it start? And the honest answer is it started because I was tired of trying to do everything for everyone else all the time, and instead decided it was easier to teach you how to do it and empower the person or the end user to do it themselves. Fast forward 3 years after the course went live, we do offer that where we do it for people, but everything inside the course, the Instagram Power Method, the way that it has been built and has evolved over the last almost 3 years now, it's a reverse engineer of everything that I do in my business every single day to wake up to new conversations in my direct messages, new leads that are reaching out to me, emails that are coming in from people who are interested in using the program. And so the program teaches individuals how to have that same result, right? So it's a total of 13 modules, 23 homework assignments. I mean, it is truly my life's work. And it is how I've built my business. And the way that the program works and the entire methodology behind it is rooted in this very fancy term, aka psychology, right? Lots of people are going to know what I'm talking about there. But psychology is so important here. I actually have a degree in it. And one of the things that I laugh about is if you don't, or if you're trying to write about people, if you're trying to post about people, if you're trying to sell to someone, you need to make sure you know how that person operates, right? You have to get into their brains and figure out what makes them tick and what makes them want to make purchasing decisions. And so the Instagram Power Method course reverse engineers that process from how do we create the capture on the front end to how do we then have conversations in our DMs that actually move a lead from cold to warm, warm to hot, to ultimately having them reach out and say, hey, I need a loan, or hey, real estate agent, I'd like to go have coffee with you, loan officer, to talk about how we can do business together.
Oh, that's awesome. And so I think the real key there is that you built this from the ground up to grow your own business. Like, that's, to me, that's what I pulled out right away, and it works, right? You have a very successful business that you have, and it applies it applies in a lot of different verticals, to realtors and real estate agents, to loan officers, branch managers, lending companies. So if you're listening, this stuff works. It works, and it works really well. But it does take an investment in time. So let me ask you a question. Do loan officers like have to do this on their own, or will you like just do it for them?
Yeah, so we have two sides to my company. We have the course itself where you can go through it and learn how to do all of it, empower yourself to kind of go through the process. And we also have our VIP side, which is where my company will actually do it all for you. And we just do things super differently over here. And I think that that's part of why we've been so successful is it's not about how many followers you have. It's not about how many likes you're getting. It's not about how beautiful your content is. It's about is your content connecting with your ideal client, and are you having conversations with them? So the way we structure the VIP side of things is you actually have to meet with us twice a month, right? So you have to get on a Zoom and sit with us for an hour and go into the weeds of your business. We build engagement trackers out from start to finish for you. So we actually do your daily engagement on your behalf, but it's based off of who's your ideal client, right? So who is the person you're actually trying to attract? And we get into the avatar of that person. We also ask for, your CSV file, right? So who's your top lead list? Who are your top strategic partners? Who are your top agents that you're working with? And we do the legwork on your behalf to make sure that you're staying top of mind with those people. But one thing I really want everybody to hear me say is that doesn't mean that you're not involved in it. That doesn't mean that you're hands off and that you don't have any say in anything, or that you don't and shouldn't open Instagram every day, right? You need to be doing those things. You just get to have somebody who, again, has built her entire career and her employees' career around doing it successfully on her own.
That's awesome. And so let me ask you this. Let's say I'm a loan officer or a branch manager, and I'm like, okay, I'm interested in learning more about the Power Method. What's the level of time commitment? Because they're all, if you're a loan officer, right, you've got a finite amount of time, and you have goals and targets that you've got to hit. So if I'm in those shoes, I'm thinking, what's the investment worth to me over the year? Is this going to, be a worthwhile investment of my time? And what does that time investment look like, right? Because there's a lot of other things they could be putting their time into. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I wanna make this comment, and I believe I posted about it on Instagram actually yesterday, and I said that Instagram should be, and your time on Instagram, or in this case, your time on social media, should be considered prospecting time. And you're not going to skip prospecting, right? Because that's how you guys generate business. So a lot of LOs, a lot of real estate agents that I talk to, they have time blocked morning, from 9 to 10 is when they're on the phone, or from, whatever that looks like for their schedule. And I would turn the question around back at you and say, is it something you cannot do? I actually believe that it's something that if you aren't doing, your business will not look the same in the next couple of years, because of the way that social media has really taken over the referral space even, right? So like, let's say I got referred to XYZ loan officer, and it may have been the warmest referral, right? It may have been from my best friend and from my mom. They both said, go work with this person. And that's a pretty darn good referral. But if I go and I look up that person and I can't find them, doesn't mean anything to me. And I'm probably going to have already been connected to somebody else who is active and is present on the platform, who I have more of a relationship with, albeit virtual. Maybe I've never spoken to them, but I have a relationship with them virtually, where I see their content, I see their pictures, I hear their voice and stories. And so who am I going to ultimately choose? And I'm going to choose that person who I have a virtual relationship with over a warm referral who I've never talked to, right? So you got two people that we've never spoken to, and I, as the borrower, who am I going to choose? So I think that Instagram, if you look at social media as this is just like an extra. This is something that kind of is on the side. Should I or shouldn't I? I think you're asking yourself the wrong question. And I think you should look at it as this is something that has to be done. This has to be considered part of my prospecting daily. And that's where, somebody like my company or whoever you choose to hire to help you with has to take into consideration. Now time wise, right? I would tell anybody who's trying to do it on their own, the same thing I tell every course student is, if you can get through one module a week, which is, anywhere from an hour to 2 hours of work total for the week between watching the content and executing the homework assignments, you're going to be better off than anybody else who's not doing that. And on the VIP side, we require bi-weekly meetings. So every other week for an hour. And in between that, right, you're sending us content, you're downloading or uploading, videos, You're creating content for us on the reel side. Like, and all of these things are coached to you or coached by us to you so that we can execute on your behalf. But daily, maybe 15, 20 minutes, like if all you're doing is stories total. And I know for a fact, everybody's got 15 to 20 minutes in their day because I'm a mom and I am a stay-at-home mom during the day as far as, not having help with my son. And I also run a company at the same time. So I know if I have 15 minutes, you have 15 minutes. So I just feel like I hope that answers your question, Richard, but I feel like it's a non-negotiable. And I think it's part of,
It does.
Yeah, it's just got to be part of it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not just a one-person show. You've got a squad that works with you too. So when she says she runs a company, she's running a company, many clients, doing very successfully. So, she definitely knows what she's talking about, and I think she speaks the same kind of. Well, she has the same mindset, I think, that a lot of branch managers and loan officers do. Right? I mean, you're owning your own book of business at the end of the day, and your time is valuable, and you want to put it where it matters, and this matters. So, it's funny. I'm going to take a quick second and just say that anybody who knows what Sales Boomerang does, my company, might think, why would I be interested in talking to someone like Michelle? And, we're like the good news company, right? Like credit improves, loan officer reaches out to, we send a notification, loan officer reaches out to the person, the borrower, and says, hey, great news. I can save you $200 a month that you're just wasting right now because you qualify for a better interest rate. That's for the good news company. It's an awesome call to have. So why would, someone's not going to do that on Instagram. So why would this be relevant? And I want to tie this back because I see the value for sure. And a lot of our loan officers do. And I want to make sure that all of our clients and all of the loan officers listening understand why it's so important for our own, for borrower intelligence. Because no, you're not going to reach out on Instagram and say, hey, your credit improved, let's have a conversation. That's not what it's for. What it's for is when you do need to reach out to the borrower and say, hey, your credit is improved. You're not just some stranger reaching out to them. Even if you've done their loan for them like 5 years ago or 3 years ago, you've been posting on Instagram. They've been seeing the fun stuff. They relate with you as a person. They already kind of know you because you're opening up to them on social media. And so it makes that conversation super easy. They're like, hey, yeah, what's up, Michelle? How you doing? I saw your guitar video, like you were mentioning, of the client of yours the other day, and you're ready to have that conversation. You're top of mind, and you're probably going to go with that loan officer before any cold letter showing up in your inbox telling you should go with XYZ massive loan company. I won't mention names, but so why don't you talk about some of those examples about some examples of like what are some of the examples on Instagram of the different types of content that you think that people should be putting out. You mentioned going out into the community and doing some of those posts, right? Interviews with folks in the community. You want to share any other examples you have?
Yeah, I think the community example is a great one. And I'll talk about value series second. And anybody who's in my sphere or network, course student or not, if you've consumed me anywhere, or have heard of this term called the value series. So I'll dive into that a little bit too. But the community mayor aspect is this conversation that I feel like I have every day, right? Where people are like, I want to be the community mayor of my small town. And a lot of the times they'll say, well, why would I use Instagram? And I kid you not, I got an email about a year ago now. I can't believe it's been that long, but I was promoting a new part of the program. And I got an email from a loan officer in Dayton, Ohio, who said to me, people in Dayton, Ohio don't use Instagram, so can you please take me off your email list? And I literally laughed out loud in my office, and I thought to myself, this guy's got it totally backwards, right? He's completely missing the entire part or the entire conversation around all of this. He's just missing the point, right? And while I can tell you for a fact that people in Dayton, Ohio, consumers are definitely using Instagram, right? But I think where he got it wrong is that the loan officers in Dayton, Ohio are the ones that are not using Instagram. So he has missed the boat in the sense of he could be the one on Instagram. He could be the only loan officer in all of Dayton, Ohio that gives a crap about spending time on Instagram. And so he could be capitalizing on market share. And instead he's saying, well, nobody else is doing it, so I'm not going to do it. right? Or nobody else is doing it well. So why would I spend the time? I'm just going to go to my normal, what I'm used to, which is picking up the phone and just cold calling, right? Or cold emailing or sending out boring newsletters or all the things that us as consumers, guys, we just don't care about anymore, right? And I, sitting on the couch last night with my husband, I mean, he got 3 spam calls in a matter of an hour, right? We don't answer our phones when they come through like that. So the example of the community mayor site, how can you create content that makes people excited about wanting to work with you? You can show that you are active in the community, right? I had a client in Nashville, for example, who he is really big on YouTube. He's done really, really well there. And he really wanted to kind of transition that to Instagram. And his question was, how can I do the same level of volume that I get on YouTube, but on Instagram without doing more work? And I said, well, on YouTube, for example, right, you spend a day going out and recording the five best barbecue restaurants on the strip. So, and if you're spending the whole day doing that, just break that one video of 5 different places down into 5 different clips, right? You don't have to recreate the video. You can just create micro content out of it and share each one of those 5 barbecue restaurants over the course of a month. And that allows you to repurpose content. And YouTube, for example, a lot of the way the algorithm works is they don't want you to use the exact same video. They don't want you to link directly back to YouTube for the sake of the YouTube algorithm. So instead, right, record the long form video, download the 5 or create the 5 micro content clips, save those, and then upload that full edited long pretty video to YouTube. So you're keeping them separate. And I think that there's a way to do that. And if anybody's like, how do you do that? Just reach out because I'm happy to help you. But I think the thing for that, right, is creating the community mayor aspect or the persona is showing up as pounding pavement in your area, right? So it could be as simple as like going to your 5 favorite coffee shops, going to your 5 favorite barbecue restaurants, and taking it one step further and interviewing the owner and being like, hey, I just wanted to sit down with you for a little bit if you're available. I'm working on my social presence. I'd love to spotlight you as my #1 favorite barbecue restaurant in Nashville, right? And first of all, that owner is going to be like, dang, that's awesome, of course. And secondly, that owner is going to remember you, right? And that owner is going to say, oh, this was this real estate agent, or this was this loan officer that came in here and was like, I want to interview you because they thought, I was the best barbecue restaurant in all of Nashville. So it becomes a subliminal play, and it becomes a referral base. So becoming the community mayor is not something that you can do sitting behind your computer screen all day. You have to go pound pavement and do it. And on the value series side, to piggyback off of that, to the second part of my conversation that we're having, value series, the way that it works is it's one topic that you're going to talk about for the entire month. And you're going to break it down into 5 individual bullet points and each one of those bullet points is its own post by itself. And a lot of the times where people run into issues with Instagram and just social media in general is they feel like they run out of things to say. And a lot of the times the reason I see this is because they're trying to post screenshots of flyers that they get from their title company, or they're trying to post these stock imagery type stuff that says conforming loan limits have raised to 467,000, whatever it is. And the problem with that is that the consumer doesn't know what that means, right? They have no idea what a conforming loan limit rising 30,000 for the year means to them. So when it comes to value series content, the way that I teach people how to do this is I say, okay, you want to talk about conforming loan limits? Let's flip it upside down and look at it from a perspective of a consumer, right? So I am Michelle Berman Michael, right? My husband and I want to go buy a house with potentially a VA loan, if that makes sense for us. What does that new conforming loan limit mean to me as a consumer if I want to go buy this $700,000 house down the road, right? What does it mean if I want to go build my own house, right? What does that conforming loan limit mean to me as a consumer? And so if you can have that conversation and flip it around and say, hey, consumer, I'm going to tell you, if you want to go buy that $700,000 house, this is what this would look like, versus, hey, conforming loan limits is, I don't know the exact number, Richard, you might, but it was like 600 something, I believe. And if you're looking at it from that perspective and just saying the conforming loan limit, $634,000 now, again, the end consumer doesn't know what that means. It's not relatable to them. But I don't know, am I making sense for you, Richard, there on the flip side of it?
100%. Absolutely right. Make it relatable to the consumer. I mean, to me, that's not even, that should be table stakes. But
Yeah.
I think I think you can share a lot of the posts that you're putting out there, your ideas with different people that you talk to and just say, does this resonate with you? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But look, here's what I would say. The power method works. She's got a course developed right now. If you're interested in taking the step forward and upping your Instagram game, take the course. It's not academic. You're not just learning about stuff, you're doing it. You're actually going to be doing Instagram posts in the power method. So by taking this course, you're saying, I'm going to do this, and you're doing it. So by the time you finish, you will be doing it.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in doing that, do that. You can reach out to Michelle. If you're interested in, she also has a VIP service. If you would more like more of a white glove approach and you want to guarantee that you're killing it and doing it right, reach out. Michelle's got a squad that will help you out, and they will work with you to really step up your Instagram game. So if people want to reach out to you, Michelle, how do you want them to connect with you? You want them to just kind of go outside their house and scream Michelle? How do you just magically appear?
Yeah. Well, maybe one of the 40 states where we have students or clients in, maybe somebody will hear it and then, it'll telephone game over to me. No. But I think the best way to get a hold of me is through Instagram truly. So if you reach out to me there, it's Berman Media Social, all one word. Even if you just type in Michelle Berman, it'll pop up right at the top for you. Taking a long time to get there, but it does. So it's awesome that it works that way. But also, if you want to email me, Michelle at BermanMediaPD, P as in Paul, D as in dog.com. Happy to connect with you. Also, if you need me, get Richard. He knows how to get me.
Awesome. Well, Michelle, thanks so much for coming on with me today. I think this was an awesome discussion. I think a lot of folks listening got a lot out of it.
Awesome. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. If you like the podcast, please give us a 5-star rating, subscribe, and tell all your friends about the show. We at Sales Boomerang started this podcast to elevate the mortgage lending industry by sharing the kind of exclusive, insider knowledge from the successes and failures of the best of the best. The foundation of every successful lender is borrower retention. Sales Boomerang is the #1 fully automated borrower retention system in the industry. 1 in 2 of the biggest lending companies in the United States use Sales Boomerang to make sure they reach out to their borrowers when they need a loan, and more importantly, before their competitors do. If you want to learn more about Sales Boomerang, check us out at salesboomerang.com.